Kevin Watts in that last round, the first glimpse of trying to meet Paul Malignaggi in terms of the style, the arrogance, and the cockiness. Problem is, didn't really serve him well or do anything. Teddy, through 3 rounds, he's still trying to locate that target. Still trying to find Paul Malignaggi.
And that's the problem. Trying to find him with a big shot. Instead of using the jab just to slow down, stabilize Malignaggi. Instead of looking for it all at once.
Malignaggi has thrown more jabs than Watts has thrown total punches heading into this 4th round.
When you want to attack a big problem, right now the speed of Malignaggi is a big problem for Watts. You have to do it in segments, not all at once.
Hey, next time I have to go
all at once.
No wrap and hit. Come on.
There'd be no contest. There would be no challenge to it. You wouldn't be in that position to begin with. There has to be a plan. So far, no plan from Watts.
So far, a clean sweep for Paul Malignaggi on Teddy Ellis' scorecard. And the talking has begun as the jab continues to come in. The jaw of Malignaggi as active as his left hand.
Some new tattoos. That's a new addition to the back of Malignaggi. People watching at home going to say, well, Malignaggi keeps his hands down. He doesn't have a good defense. But he's doing it when he's at a distance, when he knows he's safe. When if you come in, he can counter you before you can get into punching range. And if you get close, or he gets close, notice Malignaggi's hands go up. Malignaggi has a good trainer, good teacher. Billy Giles is in charge of his development. Billy Giles is the man who developed the young Hector Camacho Sr. to his first world title along with Bob Lee.
Flash.
Yeah, speaking of a little bit of talk, a little bit of trash talk, Billy can teach that as well as teach the jab. Billy's okay. From Harlem, New York.
Consistent jab again from Paul Malignaggi. Been there all night. Connects on the inside, puts his punches together. Not a big hitter. Started his career with 3 straight knockouts. Since then, only 1 in his last 10 fights.
You know, as cocky as Malignaggi's supposed to be, he's kind of patient. If you really recognize what you need to recognize here, at least what I think you do, he's staying with the jab most of the time. He's not opening up unless Watts starts to bite, unless Watts starts to give him something to open up with. Otherwise, he's content. You know, you think a cocky guy is can't wait to get at him. He's like, you know, chewing at the bit. He's being pretty controlled, pretty contained, Malignaggi. He's the guy with the plan here, not Watts.
And through 4 rounds, exactly the way he wants it. Paul Malignaggi feeling comfortable. And here's some of the trash talking we've talked about. The irony of Paul Malignaggi fighting a fighter whose nickname is Cocky. Well, here's what Paul had to say about it.
When I think about his nickname, Cocky, he tries to be cocky. I mean, I don't see what he's got to be cocky about. All he has is his toughness. So usually when you're cocky, you have to have some flair, some flashiness, something to show the crowd, like, wow, some pizzazz, basically, you know what I mean? And Kevin Watts has none of that. Kevin Watts is just garbage.
I think he knows who he can, you know, bully and he can talk to, and he knows I'm not one of them people. I'm a straightforward guy, and I'm tough. I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to be there for all 10 rounds if he makes it, which I doubt it. And that's what I think gets under his skin. He knows he can't get under my skin.
Round number 5. Malignaggi called him garbage. Watts said he's unaffected.
Those are things you don't really want to hear. This is a tough sport.
There was a ton of trash talk leading up to this fight from both sides.
This is a sport where both guys in there taking more chance than any other athletes in the world. That you don't want to see too much of. Of course, the greatness of this sport is when it's over with, everything's forgotten. They hug, they embrace, they respect each other. But that's where, and I know the people around Malignaggi, they're cognizant of that. They want to control it. They want his flair. They want his personality to come out. That's him. You don't want to, it's like a stallion in the wild. You know, you want to train it, you want to control it, but you don't want to lose that spirit. And I know that that's the quandary for his people, and he's got good people around him. His promoter, Lou DiBella, one of the more solid people in this business that cares about things like that. I know they want to keep that kind of fire and that feistiness, but at the same time, not cross the line being disrespectful.
We saw in his last fight, we showed you the clip when he fought on the Tuesday night series. Malignaggi attempted that bolo punch when he was in a situation where it wasn't necessarily the smartest choice at the time. The guy countered him with a left hook. It kind of went right back in his face. He said tonight he wants to have that spirit and have that showmanship, but show smart boxing.
Well, he is showing smart boxing. He's not in there with Pernell Whitaker, but he's doing what he's being allowed to do with Kevin Watts. He's containing himself, too. He's controlling himself real well. He's not trying to do too much, and that's important. You hear Michael Jordan throughout the years of basketball saying some of the young kids, they try to do too much. Let the game come to you. Don't force yourself on the game. You hear some of the great competitors say that. Very important for the young people to understand that. Right now, Malignaggi, at 22 years of age, he's letting the fight be controlled by him. He's not trying to impose himself beyond the proper level in this fight. He's controlling himself, taking the outside. Now he's getting cocky. He's taking the outside and trying to get Watts to help him a little bit. But he's not getting over anxious by any means, Malignaggi. As much as he talks, as much as he flashes, and his clothes yell at you and shout at you, he's still contained. He's still thinking in there. He still understands the sweet science a little bit.
And just about halfway through this scheduled 10-rounder, Watts has landed under 10% of his punches thrown. Stop! Friday Night Fights presented by Miller Lite from the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. Joe Tessitore ringside with Teddy Atlas. 10-round scheduled junior welterweight between Kevin Watts and Paul Malignaggi. The punches through round 5, a big edge for the Magic Man, the unbeaten prospect from Brooklyn, Paul Malignaggi, 91-22. And you see the land percentage for Kevin Watts, 9%.
Kevin Watts has two problems. One, finding the target. The other, letting his hands go enough to have a chance to find the target. Not letting his hands go because he's letting them go the wrong kind of punches. It's not just about punching. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the sweet science, Joe. It's about understanding which punches to throw and knowing which punches to throw. Watch, when he wants to throw, he's throwing big shots, leaving himself open. Then he gets tentative later on to throw anything. He needs to start throwing the simple punches, the jabs. Go look for the home run. Start getting singles. He's behind. He needs men on base.
In between the 5th and the 6th round, a realization by the corner of Malignaggi. They all agreed, you know what? He's not strong enough to do what he needs to do on the inside. He's not getting it done. And look at Watts sticking out his tongue, saying, I'm not affected by that jab.
But he is effective. And that's why he's sticking his tongue out, Joe. He's frustrated.
No doubt. Malignaggi's laughing.
See, this is what looks bad if you're a Watts backer. There he got his hands free, but he gets inside close where he's the biggest, stronger guy. And good shots.
Right hand from Malignaggi. Oh, it puts him down.
Watts just a moment ago stuck his tongue out, showed he was frustrated. That means you're not thinking. That means you're going to leave yourself open. That means he left himself open, and Malignaggi took advantage.
Malignaggi, he's going to go to work in the final minute here. Watts looks really bad. That's it. Joe LaPlante stops it. So he sticks his tongue out, Teddy, and then gets licked.
Sticks his tongue out. Might as well tell you, I'm frustrated, I'm mad, I'm a little bit angry, and I'm going to leave myself open. And Malignaggi took advantage of that, and he closed the door.
2:09 of the 6th round. After an exchange of trash talking, Paul Malignaggi follows it up with a couple of right hands for the first knockdown, and then goes after the target and finishes off Kevin Watts.
And it's important that he had this kind of win, because up to this point, not real exciting. If you're going to be cocky, you're going to be flashy, you have to make good fights, and it wasn't a barn burner up to that point. Great finish, sensational finish, you could almost say, for Malignaggi. The way to close the show, especially on national television.
Malignaggi outlanding Watts in those 6 rounds, 111-24. Very impressive display tonight from the unbeaten prospect from Brooklyn. All right, Teddy, let's set it up for you. Here's what started things off.
All night long, Malignaggi using the jab, and the jab is not to finish the fight, it's to start the fight. It's to get the guy frustrated, it's to take what's given you. Then all of a sudden, Watts gets a little frustrated, leaves himself open. If you can hit a guy with a jab, what can you hit him with, Joe? You can hit him with a right hand, and Malignaggi knew that. You can hit him with the jab, you can hit him with the right hand. And Malignaggi, he hit him with the right hand behind the jab. And one credit to Malignaggi, amongst all the other things he's going to get credit for. Once he got the opening, he went in that door. Again, the jab lands, that means the right hand can land. And that means Malignaggi can go to the locker room a little early.
And only Paul Malignaggi could come to New England with a New York Yankees emblem on his shorts and waving a flag too. So the flashy showboating New Yorker, Paul Malignaggi, gets the KO win. Speaking of flashy showboating New Yorkers, Max Kellerman is